Alright, fuckers. Welcome back. Welcome back. Emphasis on the well. But yeah, welcome back to artwod workout, right? Cute bots, artwod workout. What is this workout? It's basically being able to create mechs. That's the whole point, right? And we're on the step where we're trying to understand hinges, hinge joints, pivots, ball and joints, all that shit. But right now I'm specifically focusing on hinges, right? Join me, draw along. It can be this. Uh, Unlike the fundamental shit, I do the call to action, like join me on drawing and understanding this. But this one, I think, particularly just comes down to interest. So if you're interested in practicing hinges and shit like that, join me. Otherwise, practice the things that you are avoiding, and join me. Let's fucking hurt our brain together and really, really, really try to understand how we can create and fail multiple times consistently, right? Because that's all we're trying to do right now is fail multiple times consistently. This is literally, I feel as if learning in general is the definition of failing upwards, because that's just how our brain works. So yeah, join me. Let's do it. Let's not dick around, right? Rather than watch me become great alongside me. And see, I just lost the perspective there again. I'm just sort of ideating, practicing, right? What is my goal? My goal is to simply try a lot, to fail a lot, and to do my best to learn in that process, right? Mainly it comes when it comes to visualization. Yeah, mainly visualization and design, which is the core focus right now, right? But even then, there's a lot that can be done. So this, I'm just, I guess, instead of actually creating the hinge, I'm just going to try to focus on, at least like just for this particular little bit of quote unquote design. This isn't even the serious one. I'm just trying to figure out, and I'm obviously trying to think about this as in as many different perspectives in my mind while I'm drawing it as possible, which again is very difficult. So again, I encourage you, draw along with me. Let's do things that are very difficult and only focus on the effort we're making in doing that difficult thing, right? I obviously need to continue to work on my perspective drawing abilities because they're objectively very subpar. And of course, I'm not saying that in a mean way, I'm just saying that in a very realistic way, right? So that's an interesting looking hinge, but I'm just trying to think, is there anything that can be done here? Okay, that just ended up looking straight, but what I was trying to do was maybe something like this, right? I don't know. I don't think that works too well because I didn't really have much clarity and idea. But anyways, let's just move on. If this were to be a hinge, there's so many different ways that this could be handled. But even something like this, and then making something smaller. It's like, okay, that's a hinge. Right? Something within attached to something that is being rotated surrounding something. And it doesn't even have to be specifically surrounding anything, but see? Something like that. There you go. Ta-da. Hinge-like shape. Right? That is what we're focusing on. So yeah, what are my goals? My goal is to visualize the box. My goal is, while I'm visualizing the box, to create angles, multiple rounded angles inside of that. While I'm doing that, it is to design something interesting, specifically regarding a functional hinge, right? On top of that, what else am I trying to do? While I'm doing all of that, while visualizing the box, I'm going to also attempt to see it in my mind and visualize it from another perspective, right? And then on top of that, we're going to go back to memory drawing because I feel as if I haven't been challenging myself enough, so we need to push the boundaries even more so, right? So I looked at a couple examples on Pinterest, and not that like that those are the penultimate examples, but it's a good way to think about hinge designs. And now we're gonna try again, and we're just gonna keep going, right? So join me, join me, join me, right? Let us push ourselves together. It's always fun. It's always very, very fun when I do something incredibly challenging like this. Now, I have just a vague idea. You know, genuinely just a vague idea. And it's incredibly difficult. Don't get me wrong. I say this. Is that my fucking like? Is that the goddamn line that I've learned the most? It's incredibly difficult. Don't get me wrong. I guess I really just want to continue to emphasize just how hard this shit is. You know, and the only way to do that is to continuously reinforce that. Oh wow, this thing that I'm trying to do, incredibly wrong. Oh fuck, incredibly wrong. Don't get me difficult. No, incredibly difficult. Don't get me wrong. And again, obviously, visualizing the perspective is also going to be very difficult, especially because I'm trying to multiple around this as well. And that's okay, that's incorrect. That's actually the even more difficult part is, see, that fucked everything up, is that while I'm trying to design something in one perspective, I'm literally thinking about it in another perspective. Right? If that sounds like holy shit, that's a brain workout, the answer is yes. Yes, it is. And don't forget that I'm also trying to literally think ahead of what the design is. Right? This isn't that good. I should have made it this, it's not centered, right? So already it looks a bit incoherent. And then what else? We're trying to think about, okay, well, I'm particularly trying to think about how this could make sense. Oh, we could do something like this. I'm just trying to visualize exactly what the shapes that are being utilized are. And that's the most difficult part, right? Is visualizing and seeing it in my mind's eye. See, again, another fuck up with this line. I'm trying to make the roundings a lot clearer, but it's still incredibly difficult, right? And I want to make it very clear to myself as well what is happening. So let me just there you go, something like that. But is that what I want? Let's see, because that will be attached like so. Again, I'm trying to figure it out literally as I go, and I'm trying to think about it in a different perspective. I need to zoom out as well. But what are the shapes that can create the interest that I'm looking for? Okay, what about something like that? This is supposedly where I'm gonna have the hinge attached to. Just trying to think. Really trying to think. Oof, that's difficult. Maybe we could even do something like this. That I think this is diverging now, actually. Maybe something like that. Right. But again, it's kind of it's so difficult. Holy shit. I'm actually losing the perspective and everything. And I can't even visualize anymore. I don't know what the fuck I'm drawing, to be completely honest. But this is the part that matters, right? Making lots of mistakes, losing it, literally losing everything. But see, if I give up here, I'm going to reinforce to myself that I should always give up when things get difficult. And that is not the case. See, I don't even know what perspective I have it in anymore, to be honest. Like, completely, I don't know what perspective I have it anymore. We're just gonna have to believe that there is a perspective being had. I'm not gonna draw this from memory because I would like to draw things that are a bit more coherent. Right? That one's actually a little bit better. So I guess it also comes down to trying not to draw too large, clearly. My best drawings have been when I've made it relatively compact. Like, this is okay. Again, this and this have the same issue right now. See, but where does this go? I don't think any of this makes any that's diverging any sense because I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, none of this makes sense. That's the main thing. See? Huge mistake. Went horribly wrong. And yet, I persisted, and at the very least, I came out of it being like, okay, that went horribly wrong. Now I know. What did I learn from this? I learned that I'm not going to start to create abstract shapes and draw so big when I don't have an idea of what it is that I'm trying to do. Right? So I need to have a bit of a better idea. It's like I literally lost about halfway through this. I completely just lost what I was trying to do. But it also stems from the fact that this looks like shit. Like this entire thing, right? What is this? You do this, and then I just like randomly made a shape around it. That just looks dumb, right? We need things that have which of my shapes look the best. Even this looks pretty decent because again, it's compact. There's purpose. The ratio isn't awkward. It's not misaligned. These are centered. This looks okay. This, even though like this looks stupid because it's centered. So I obviously missed that horribly. But I'm gonna rest my brain, and we're gonna keep going, right? Because that's all we can do is just keep going. Yes. So every great artist has what, like 1,000 bad drawings inside of them, right? So we're just fast tracking those 1,000 bad drawings and doing our best to ensure that we learn from those 1,000 bad drawings, right? Let's see. Okay, we can do something like, there you go. Again, trying to figure out the rounding that I'm doing, whether it makes sense. Trying to create some sort of consistency out of it, because consistency is very important when it comes to design. Right, that one will greatly diminish because it's being rounded. That's a bit too much diminishing. It's being rounded, and see the line was unconfident. So something like that. And I'm still trying to think about this from an altered perspective in my mind as I draw it. But the main thing right now is just to understand for myself what can and can't be done, right? What makes sense, what doesn't make sense, right? Because if that's where it is, I also need to think about, okay, well, where's the thing that's jutting out of it? What does that look like? It can look like so many different things, but for the time being, we will, again, trying to think about the perspective. We'll do something like this. Okay, so that's still accurate. Right? It's a weird shape, I understand that. And I'm also rounding it. I'm trying to keep it in mind as much as possible. Right, so it's rounded. And we can actually do something like this. Right? And okay, what I'm actually thinking of is just, this is the perspective, right? This is the box that I've encompassed this in. Right? And I'm just thinking like, okay, we just need to have something jut out and it'll have a range of motion like so. Actually, this angle should have been a lot better. But I ended up following the perspective. It shouldn't have been like that. It should have been jutting out alternatively. But that's not what happened. Actually, no. Well, actually it is because no, it is. It is. I didn't do it as well as I intentioned, but we just need to figure out also what makes sense. Right? What is something that makes sense? And we can actually we can change this shape around a bunch too. Right, we can do something like this. Because there's no limits on the shape that we're actually drawing, of course. But we could have this, and then it's much larger. It's so difficult, trust me. This is, I don't think I even need to put a caveat like, oh, trust me. I'm sure you can all understand that what I'm trying to do, and to the degree I'm trying to do it with, is incredibly difficult. Just need to think about how this even makes sense. Right? There you go. And again, still trying to think about that perspective. Right? And we can actually do something like that and then make it very evident we're still following this perspective. And okay, and then what here? They're like that. Right. Now how do we ensure that it's very evident that this is a hinge that's being attached? So like, okay, the shape changed a decent amount, but we can still make it very clear that this is a hinge. We can maybe make it a bit more complicated than we initially anticipated, because that's coming out. Oh, I know I know exactly what I can do, and it's actually going to make it even more complicated. But there you go. We'll do something like that, right? And imagining this is also because I keep losing the perspective. I literally keep losing thinking about it in a different perspective while I'm drawing it. And you might be thinking, why the fuck do you need to go that far? Well, I want to. I want my brain to be able to, again, if drawing is thinking, right? Huge if. Let's just say I'm completely wrong and drawing isn't thinking. But if drawing is thinking primarily, then the goal now is just to think and create a mind that is capable of essentially going to the extremes required to think. You know what I mean? If that makes sense, right? Like being able to do all the extreme versions of the thinking that one would benefit in doing, right? I don't need to just think about it in a different perspective, and I don't need to just draw it in a specific perspective anymore. I need to be able to see all of this and design it and think about it in a different perspective, because that's what's going to help me design, right? I need to be able to see this in my mind from an alternate perspective, right? Like, I guess the word need isn't it's called, maybe like the word need is a bit too serious. I don't fucking know, but I want to be able to see things from an alternate perspective while I'm drawing them. At the very least, I think it's just a very technically impressive skill to have, right? Okay, but does this even make sense? Does this make sense? Because it just kind of stops right there. Actually, yeah, it could just be a cutout on the other side as well. That's pretty cool. It does look like this is the range of motion that we're gonna apply, right? Well, that it basically stops right here, like right there, and yeah, that's the range of motion. What is it turning? We don't know. Actually, don't know what the fuck it could possibly be turning, but hey, it's a hinge. We're gonna keep working on functionality and like the interpretation of the functionality being legit. But I'm gonna rest my brain, and then I'm gonna analyze this and draw it from memory, right? And that was good. That was really good, because I genuinely put an honest effort, and I tried my best to make sense of what I was making, right? So yeah, let me rest my brain. And I encourage you to do so as well, because I'm sure you're putting as much of an honest effort as you can. And, feel good from the mistakes. The mistakes are the best part. Okay, just drink some water. Stay hydrated as well, everybody. Stay hydrated, I guess. Bastion of H2O, that's what this channel is about. No, I'm just ASMR for lonely people. ASMR for artists, which is basically synonymous with lonely people. Although I have a very strong social group, so what are you doing with your life? Okay, let's analyze this. It helps that I was already thinking about it from the top-down perspective as I was drawing it, but it obviously is still important to analyze it and get a clear understanding of what it is that I'm drawing, regardless, right? And this isn't anything incredible. There's a lot of mistakes. Especially, I believe my multiple rounding has gotten worse, right? Just my roundings in general, I feel as if have gotten slightly worse. Because if I do this, see, but then again, was I really able to do it with continuous lines before? No. So I believe it is about, no pun intended, perspective. Okay, let's see. So obviously I'm gonna memorize. The thing is, like, now I'm thinking about in terms of functionality, it helps that I'm able to create things like this, right? And actually understand the functionality of what I'm creating to a degree, right? But It's important to understand exactly, because this is the perspective again. This is the box that this is encompassed in, right? So, actually, if that's the case, then yeah, this is slightly off. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Right, this is product design. Technically, I guess mechanical design. Right, these hinges don't need to be so complex, but I'm still figuring everything out. Right. Okay, I just need to think about it from from the alternate perspective. I am analyzing this, don't get me wrong, but I'm literally trying to think about it from the other perspective and how it would work. Because that's the most important, I think, is to understand if I want to rotate it in my mind, what perspective do I want to do it in? Okay, that's super difficult. Let's try to break it down. There's like these steps that I've created, right? This is almost looks like a fan, a blower dryer, an air dryer. Yeah, this actually kind of looks like an air dryer or blow dryer, hair dryer. What the fuck? I don't know the word. Blow dryer, sure. We got the cylinder. That's what's causing the turn, right? Probably should make more sense, but I don't think it does. But either way, it stops right here. And again, I'm sure I'm gonna fail this miserably, but that's good because that's that first step of miserability, if that's a word, it's not a word, but miserability is going to improve my ability. Yes, I'm not a rapper. Okay, why don't I just do this? There you go. There you go. We've added 2 layers of complexity, 2 lines, as they say. But okay, let's just start it. There's gonna be a lot of mistakes that are gonna be made, but we just have to start, right? So already, let me start with the proportion because I always fuck up proportion. So this is how big this is, right? And I'm obviously trying to think about this from. Okay, see, I already forgot what this was gonna be, but is it? It's so much that's been forgotten already. It's amazing. But this is where we try. We try not to forget. Right, so we had this, and where was it? Was it located up top? It might have been something like, okay, we have to put it in a box. So if I put it in a box, it'll be a lot easier. But let me just think right now. Something like this. Right? This could be completely wrong. In fact, I'm also almost guaranteed that it's completely wrong. But oof, see, it's still... Because I know we had something like that. Right, memory drawing is extremely difficult. So that's why I must do it. That's why I must completely commit to the process. I'm pretty sure this is too small, this shape I drew around it. And I'm pretty sure this shape in of itself is relatively incorrect. Right. I can say all I want. Oh yes, I drew it. I understand the functionality because I drew it. Right. We can do all of that fucking song and dance, but at the end of the day, if I don't understand it, I don't understand it. It's as simple as that. Right. And no amount of showboating, or if you want to call it that. Actually, can we call it that? Doesn't even make any sense. Am I showboating? Yeah, but no amount of just fronting that I understand is gonna fix the fact that I don't understand. Right? It doesn't even make sense. This is clearly incorrect. And that's okay. And that's good. Because these errors is what's gonna signal these errors are what's going to signal to my brain. There you go. That something is not working. Okay, what happened on the other side? I know if we do about it like this, because this is much larger, right? There you go. I know that's fine. And of course we need to, okay, so it was something where it was like that, and then okay, so we can at least start relatively decently. And I guess what I'm trying to do is also remember the general functionality of what I drew, right? Obviously, I am quote-unquote aiming for perfection because I do want it to be very accurate. Don't get me wrong, I genuinely do want it to be very accurate. But I also want to make sure that what I drew makes sense. Just trying to think. Just trying to think right now, yeah. Because if it was the opposite shape and I have it, I'm trying to rotate in my mind to what I drew initially. This was much longer. Yeah, this was much longer, right? It's nowhere near as short as I'm making it. Trying to think how it works, because yeah, the shape's actually gonna be the shape's gonna be different at this point because I already messed this up. I don't remember what this was at all. And again, it's my fault because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I haven't clarified clear plane changes. This is what I mean by my roundings getting worse. I'm taking too many shortcuts. Right, this is a very clear rounding, I'd like to believe. But doing some shit like this, even this, like whoa, like it doesn't make any sense. I need my roundings to be even more clear. Like for example, something like see, that's very clear because we know this is happening and then it's going straight and then it's going this way diagonal, this way. Here, this one is just like, what the fuck is happening? Is this a curve or is this multiple diagonals? Is it like this or is it like that? Right? It's my fault. So clearly, I need more clarity. And it also comes down to me drawing very tiny lines and still not taking my time to clarify. Right here, I think I can at least attempt to rectify that a little bit. Right? Because and it's like around here, and that will just see, this is already I think a bit clearer in terms of the shape that I drew. But even then it's like, okay, see, we need that to be very clear, something like that. Okay, and then we don't really see the other side, I don't believe. Not from this angle. It's a mistake. Yeah, super different, super. Okay, so clearly like this and how opposite it is, right? So obviously this entire thing was on the other side and I forgot that immediately. So yeah, it's coming out this way. That I completely forgot, I didn't do right. I did get this decently okay. This I just didn't even draw the entire thing actually. Something like that. But yeah, completely wrong. But that's okay, because the thing is, it would be easier to remember if there's more consistency and clarity, right? For example, if I were to draw something like this, even though it's relatively complicated, right? If I establish consistency in the actual drawing that I'm making, then it's not that hard. I can not look at it and just do it over here again, right? And it's like, okay, that's not too bad, because again, I understand that I've established a logic with it. I know it's a horrible example, but you see what I mean? Like, I can understand the logic that I put behind it. But my examples are so shit. Whenever I'm trying to prove a point, I don't think hard enough, nor do I take my time. And then I was like, oh, he literally. And I actually knew I was forgetting that while I was doing it. But either way, let's design another hinge. And let's try to really have clarity of line, right? Really try to have clarity of line. So what that means for me is really taking my time to establish what my roundings are, because that needs to be clear. You know, if I can't make it clear, I clearly don't deserve to draw and I should kill myself. But if perhaps death is not on the menu, it should be purely because I'm trying my hardest to ensure that my lines make sense. And that's why I said that for today's session, I'm really gonna focus on slowing down, right? Because my lines aren't articulated well enough, in my opinion, right? I feel as if I am losing out on genuinely making sure that what I draw is I should have rounded this, to be honest. I should have multiple rounded this. Maybe we can still do that. And yeah, it all comes down to clarity. For me personally, like I think I can articulate things a lot better with how I want to draw. If I had the ability, or not if I continue to refine the ability to clarify what it is I'm trying to do with my lines, right? And that just comes down to practice, obviously. Like obviously at the end of the day, it's literally all practice. Which is why I don't give myself too much shit, because clearly it's just about continuing to keep going, right? Now, even though this was a fuck up, because it's not very clear. Yeah, this was a complete fuck up, because I didn't think ahead as much as I should have. But I wonder if there's a way to bring it back. That just comes down to me understanding what it is that I'm drawing exactly. Okay, so we kind of just opened it up a little, right? Clarity is super important. I obviously made a huge mistake here, and that's okay, because I had an idea. Let's just see if it will come to fruition. There you go. Roughly speaking, right? I'm trying to make sure it makes sense. Something like that. It was supposed to be like something that's, latching. Okay, it doesn't make too much sense. We'll move on. We'll move on. Maybe we can start practicing smaller. Just thinking about smaller. What am I trying to say? Smaller hinges, right? So how would that work? Again, I really like what I did here, but I think I'm also too obsessed with the whole lever. Oh shit, it's already been 40 minutes. Yeah, I keep thinking about the whole lever functionality, but it's just two things attached to each other, which are sort of operating together. But again, that's so vague. What the fuck did I even just say? So it would also help to kind of keep in mind the hinges that I've designed thus far, and to perhaps work off of that, right? So something like, and again, this could obviously get very difficult to do, but I'm just trying to see how it would go. And this is why my lines need to be very clear, right? This is why I'm also literally imagining this in a different perspective, doing a lot of things. Let's see, something like that. And this is how I could perhaps, right? And let's see. Oh, I actually forgot that this needs to stay connected. Okay, so I think perspective was a bit wonky there, but it's okay. I'm just trying to think, because articulation is clearly something that matters. And I'm just trying to think. So clearly something like that, right? Well, that's too big, and that doesn't really make much sense. Okay, we'll just ignore that. That doesn't really make much sense. I'm gonna obviously try to do one more and then memory draw it. I'm just like, I guess, experimenting right now, but we need to think harder. So let me rest my brain, and then let's fucking think even harder and really try to understand what we're doing. But again, it's like this balance of creating complexity within simplicity. So I need to perhaps take a step back and be like, okay, what's the simplest way that we can create two things attached to each other? But obviously, in terms of make it complex in terms of the mechanistic undertones, right? Like how they're attaching and exactly how they're functioning. So it requires a lot of forethought. So unfortunately, I only have 3 thoughts. So we'll have to see. Perhaps I can take the other one out of my basement, but I live in the basement. It's hard to find. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. These are horrible jokes. Anyways, I'm fucking trying to make a joke on like the whole haha thoughts, as in like, you know, you think it but hoes haha. No, none of it works. Let me let me just rest my brain. Okay, let me keep trying to figure out, I guess, what works, right? In terms of hinges and shit. Very good, very good, and very difficult. But I should honestly stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Like the best ones were the ones that had, because again, when I look at examples, there's always, it's just some form of there exists. A cylinder, and then there's things attached around the cylinder, right? And then it's like, okay, where does that go from here? It can be super long, or it can be like stopping right there, you know, and then maybe there's something coming out of this end, and then that's the hinge. Or it's like, oh, okay, that's the hinge. cool, but saying it is one thing, and seeing it is also one thing, but then doing it is a whole nother application. So I also maybe should start drawing hinges. Again, the visual library only works when you have references, right? So perhaps, not perhaps, I think it would be best to actually, and I think I said this before, but obviously I have trouble fucking sticking to what I'm trying to do. But it would probably be best to actually start looking at different types of hinges and then drawing them, because only then will I start getting genuine inspiration, right? So I think I'm going to do that for the next session. For this one, we'll be fine, right? I'll still try to come up with unique designs and all that stuff, but moving forward, it would be best to look at a couple examples, draw them, and rotate them from memory, and then design some of my own, drawing from what I saw, right? No pun intended on the drawing from. My friend, I slept over at his base last Thursday, and we watched my Q&A video, my 500 sub Q&A video. He just said, he's like, bro, I just can't get over how you keep laughing at your own fucking jokes. I'm like, yeah, we'll get used to it, you piece of shit. So it was a good conversation, but he was just like, bro, I'm like, what do you expect? It's just me, you know? Okay, so let's try to think, because there's so many different types of hinges. What kind of, because I've been doing a lot of lever hinges. Like, these have all been like lever, right? Something that's just being pulled, right? Everything's been based, even this one. But that's not the only hinge that exists, right? As in terms of joints, like there's even just ones where they function around each other. So we can actually try that. Right? Maybe something like, and right now, again, it's all gonna be very basic, but the more I understand moving forward, like obviously through design references, the more I will be able to create something perhaps that isn't super basic. And again, I'm gonna try really hard to see this from a different angle, but it's fucking difficult. Because again, a hinge is just like, it doesn't have to be a lever, it can just be something that rotates around something else. Right, so couldn't it just be something like this, where it's just mechanically this thing is just going to be rotating around this thing, and let's obviously turn it into a multiple rounding. And again, because my lines are so small, I got to make sure that, see, that was already a fuck up. Got to make sure that what am I trying to say, that I make it clear, right? Like if my designs were bigger, then yeah, something like this would be more notable, but clearly, I guess for the time being, they aren't. But I'm trying to think about the functionality as well, right? Because we need to think about, okay, how does this actually connect? You know, how does this connect? And there's a lot to think about. There is a fuck ton to think about. And the thing is, I think I've just changed the design in my mind. So we're going to follow suit with that. Right? Oof, that was a bad one. But we're gonna, which is good. Again, I'm consistently training myself to be like, okay, these mistakes and me, this sort of unknown is what's really gonna give me what I'm looking for, right? In terms of understanding. So this is the hinge that I'm basing it all on, but again, functionality can come in many different steps or many different ways, right? So couldn't I just do something like this? Be very careful about the way I do it, but again, I'm trying to think about this from a different perspective as well. can I just do something like... we can make it a little bit of that rounding. Again, I'm trying to think about the perspective. It's just maybe like a handle that turns this. Could that not just be something that works? And again, who says this side has to be... Ooh, I'm trying to think about this. This is so difficult. Right? I don't know why I'm adding these textures right now, but I just feel as if it'll... Again, using the word articulate, not that I know what the fuck it means anymore, but it'll at least give you a little bit sense of like, okay, this is maybe a textured handle. Right? And this turns, because it's still a fucking, what's it called? It's still a hinge, right? I don't know anymore, bro. I have no idea what the fuck I just drew. But this, again, it's all about finding gaps. And I found a huge gap in my knowledge in the sense that it's actually really difficult to design something when you don't understand or have many frames of reference as to what that design can look like, right? And that is good. That is good. Because it's a handle and it's how's it attached to the hinge is the real question. Right? How's it attached? That goes down that way. And we can just connect it like so. I fucked up the multiple rounding here, but goes down that way. Attach it like so. Yeah, see, it's what I was trying to do is like it's a hinge and you are literally pulling or you're twisting specific range of motion, but it doesn't make much sense because there isn't any indication that it's going along anything. But so we could try that again actually. But again, this is my obsession with levers, clearly, and I'm trying to break out of that. Because if I look at the examples provided, fucking unlock, you piece of shit. If I look at the examples provided, they're definitely way more nuanced than that, right? Like, okay, now just looking at some of the examples, there's even something like this, where we can have right, and let's see, again, I'm just trying to think about perspective. Oh, that's fucking off center, good job. If I just look at some of these examples, there you go, keep thinking about it. Again, the most difficult part for me right now is just thinking about it from two different perspectives while designing, which I think would be difficult for anyone, to be honest. To be honest, my voice gets really nasally, to be honest. Right. And, okay, let me look at that example again. Fucking unlock, you piece of shite. Yeah, so it's like, it doesn't have to be some amazing, like, it doesn't have to be something that's just around the hinge. We can just interpret that it's around that hinge. And then something like this can simply come out of it. Right, and I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. But literally something like this can come out of it. And it's like, okay. You see how this is just a hinge now? Because it's this attached to something here. And then we're just bringing it down. It's like, okay, cool. So now we just have these two things attached. This is clearly a hinge. This is clearly something where... Actually, I didn't even think about that, but I literally created the stopping point for it too, which is pretty cool. Right? And we can even do a little design like but we don't even need to showcase what it's attached to. We can if we want. But even this, I think, quote unquote, articulates, because I love that word, what it is trying to get across. Right? There you go. We can just make that back again. It's like, okay, if we really want to showcase that it's attached to a hinge, we can just do something like that. Right? But I don't think it's necessary. But that already looks so much more interesting than anything else that I've drawn thus far. And I would like to draw some. I do want to practice memory drawing at least fucking twice, but this is the balance I'm trying to achieve, right, with designing and memory drawing. So honestly, clearly the best way to practice memory drawing and have my cake and eat it too when it comes to designing and drawing it from memory would be not to create my own designs right now, but just, or at least, yeah, like I said earlier, look at a hinge online, draw that, right, and then memory draw that, and then create my own design based off that, and then memory draw that. This way, I don't have this huge point of friction in the beginning where I'm trying to design something, but I'm learning because I'm looking at how other things are designed, right? I think that's a pretty decent way to go about it. But again, if we just try to think about it in that sense, we're just, okay, we can literally create a hinge based on just two things. And verbalizing this helps a lot, right? So a hinge doesn't have to be a lever. Obviously, it's like a door is not a fucking lever, right? But it subsists on hinges. It can also be two things that are attached to each other, like this, So I guess for this example, again, like it doesn't even have to be a lever, but it can still be based on a hinge that's very obvious. I just got an idea, right? So it could even be something like as simple as this, where we have our shape, and obviously I'm trying to multiple around it. Right, we have our shape that's very slowly being drawn. Because obviously I want to take my time more than ever now. Yeah, we have our shape. And then, okay, it's just, bam. Still based on a hinge. Still something that requires it to like rotate on something. But now it's just a shape that encompasses it. I actually fucked up the perspective completely, which is good, but either way, whatever. It's just like this. I was like, okay, cool. We got our shape. It's there, and it's rotating around that, right? A hinge can just encompass, is my understanding. Like, obviously that shape wasn't the best, but a hinge can just encompass as well. you know, it doesn't have to be a lever, but it can be two things surrounding it. Because at the end of the day, it's really thing attached, like this thing attached to this thing, which is rotating in a particular range of motion. Maybe there's an obstruction and maybe there's a base, right? All based on these, obviously. But yeah, I think the next step moving forward is just to start copying and memorizing hinge shapes and designs and functionality, obviously. Like, I'll continue to start create. I'll go back to using this fucking Jesus Christ, this green pen, to be like, okay, but where is the rotation occurring and all that stuff, right? And I'll look for complex shapes, but simple hinges. We'll start with simple hinges in terms of, you know, things that are attached, but obviously maybe things that challenge me in terms of complexities, right? I'll try to look for more multiple rounded variations or create my own variations as I continue to internalize these designs. And I might just memorize it a bunch before creating my own designs as well. But I think that's a good next step, because I do need to build my visual library. And while this is decent for like someone who has no idea how hinges look and trying to memorize them, but the next step would be obviously I think to analyze, memorize, maybe as many times as necessary, and then create my own designs based on those analysis and memorizations, right? We should probably just start with 1 to 2 different types of hinges that are different and unique enough, and then go from there, right? I can spend 20-30 hours on this, and then we can do the same thing with pivots, and we can do the same thing with ball and joints, because at the end of the day, half a year from now is what my guesstimate. Half a year from now, I should be able to create some pretty fucking cool looking mechs. And then we'll go back to the beginner roadmap, right? There's no rush. This is minimum. I already knew it was going to take me 10 to 15 years to draw well, right? So the only rush is just really, really trying, right? But yeah, I think this way I can also finally do my memory drawings in a way that I can feel satisfied that, okay, I'm finally pushing my mind in memory drawing, because I really want to focus on that. But it's been an hour and 2 minutes. I think I mostly did like maybe a bit less than an hour of practice, so let's just try to create another one right now. There you go. And we can, again, multiple around this, because the lines are obviously not the best. Okay, so should have obviously been thicker here. So those are mistakes. And I think I want to try something like this. Maybe you already know what I'm doing, but I'm giving it a shot because I haven't done this before. It's funny how the best ideas, and I use the word best very lightly, come from just trying to figure things out. And I already think this is a pretty decent idea that I've come across, for myself at least. Like, this can be a pretty decent hinge. I just gotta think about how I've shaped it up. There you go. And then let's see, because I obviously want to think about something like maybe you're starting to get an understanding of what I'm trying to do. Why did I laugh at that? Do what I'm trying to do. And honestly, this is the type of shit I like, is just trying to ideate interesting designs and shapes, and really using my good old noggin. There's also a Hindi song, Noggin, Noggin. Anyways, I'll stop. But my sister fucking showed it to me. She got it stuck in my fucking head. There's so many different hinges. We could even do something way out here, because again, we can just increase the size of the multiple rounding as well, right? And then I can just make it smaller again. Wait, we'll start there. And obviously I want to kind of make it a little bit more complex. Okay, so I obviously fucked up the perspective regarding the initial, like these ones, right, that's attached to it. I'm also, again, I keep trying, it's so fucking difficult, but I'm genuinely trying so hard to keep to think about this from a different perspective. But part of that trying is just literally remembering to do it. You know what I mean? So that's also what's very difficult about it. Right? And then this can be, I guess, I don't know, the fucking, like, basically this is a hinge in the sense that these things are revolving around this and they're closing around it. Actually, I don't think it functionally makes much sense anymore, but hey, this is why I'm gonna start studying literally after I come back from the gym, actual hinges and what they actually look like, and memorizing those, because once we can start understanding the functionality and the shapes of something that exists in real life, you know, the designs and how those designs lend way, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? But two good hinges, then we can start understanding and start creating on our own different hinges. But I think right now, honestly, because we need to stop being so back and forth. I think right now I just need to memorize, let's just say 3 to 4 different types of hinges, and genuinely just memorize the fuck out of them. And this is a great way. I'll improve my memory drawing, and I'll improve my visualization, and I'll improve my understanding. So there's no loss in actually just spending the next however many hours, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever hours, just memorizing a good minimum 4 different types of hinges, because then I can come back and start designing actual hinges, right? I think that makes complete sense. I think genuinely that makes complete sense. So I'm a god. But this, again, was a great fucking session, because I was just trying, you can see I'm constantly trying to create different types of designs and stuff like that, right? So great session, right? I hope you put a lot of effort in, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I did this practicing. Right, so with that being said, as always, fuck you for watching, keep drawing, and please give me money. Thank you.